You are now tuning into a drop of melancholy. If you are in a good mood and wish to remain so, do not watch this video.
Parents are asking for too much from their children by simply bringing them into existence. Let's get into it. Now I'm going to explain myself so y'all get what I'm trying to say here. And I'm going to use myself as an example, like I always do. Let's say if I had a kid, right? By me bringing this kid here, I'll feel as though I'm asking too much from that person. And I just don't mean adulthood. I don't mean when he or she grows up and mature into an adult. No, I mean even at childhood. I feel as though I'm asking too much from that person. It begins with school, okay? When you go to school, indoctrination camp, what's expected from my kid at school? To go there, learn this stuff, make good grades. And then from childhood to adulthood, it just keeps adding up more and more and more. The older they get, the more responsibility is going to come. Now, for those of you that read my community posts, you know that I recently mentioned that 1 in 5 children are diagnosed with a mental health disorder. And honestly, I didn't even know it was that many. Okay, 1 in 5 is a lot. Before I did research on that, I thought it was more like 1 in 20 or 1 in 30. But it's 1 in 5 children. That's a lot. Okay, and a lot of times these children experience sexual abuse. They may have experienced domestic violence between their parents. It's a lot of factors that play into this, okay? But the point is, these children have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder. And think, okay, they were brought here by their parents. They got this mental health disorder. Now they gotta live life with this illness, this mental illness. They gotta go to school with this, okay? And that's a whole nother problem in itself. And a lot of times these children are just born into these environments. They might have just been born into a broken household. They didn't have no choice, okay? They just pretty much randomly spawned in a bad situation. Those are the cards they were dealt, and now they're just expected to deal with it. So that's what I mean when I say parents are demanding a lot. They're asking for a lot by simply bringing a child into existence, okay? And it is a lot. You're asking a lot from that person. Because just think of all the stuff this person got to deal with. Think about a child getting bullied, okay? A kid in school, let's say this kid's in the 5th grade or middle school or even high school. This kid's getting bullied. It happens a lot. It's happening right now as we speak, probably. Kids getting bullied, okay? So let's say this kid got this mental illness. He's getting bullied because of it. It happens every day, and there's nothing done to mitigate it. So when I say parents are asking a lot by simply bringing children here, that's what I'm talking about. It's asking a lot from a person to have to endure things like that. It's asking a lot. And like I said, there's another reason why I'm an anti-natalist, okay? Because I don't want my child to have to go through that. Let's say my child's a nerd, a bookworm. He just want to study. I mean, he can't really help he's like that. That's just who he is. He likes to study. He likes to read. He don't really like going out. He don't like talking to people. He just want to go to school and do his classwork. He takes his classwork seriously. That makes him a target for bullying, okay? Makes him a target. It's just how it is. It's been like that for years. Kids like that get targeted. Now, let's say my kid grows up. He graduate high school and all that. He don't go to college because there's nothing he's really interested in. So he go the 9-to-5 route. He gets a 9-to-5 job. He's stuck there, and he's barely making enough to support himself. So he's kind of struggling. Things like that is what I'm talking about. I'd never want my kid to have to endure that. Well, if I did have a kid and he was in that situation, I would support my kid financially. Okay, y'all already know that because I spoke about that. But there's millions of people that aren't that lucky. They're not. They're just stuck at these 9-to-5s and they're struggling. So back to the original point, I would feel as though I'm asking too much from my kid by bringing them here. Asking far too much. From school all the way into adulthood. Okay, from childhood, them going to school, all the way into adulthood, them working a 9-to-5 or trying to figure out what they want to do. And a lot of people, here's another thing that you don't hear about. I'm sorry, I'm parked next to a road if y'all hear traffic, but here's another thing that you don't hear much about. A lot of people don't know what they want to do, okay? Yeah, people always throw college in your face, this and that. or start a business, but a lot of people don't know what kind of business they want to start. So that's another problem. If you just go start some business that you're not genuinely interested in, you're going to be miserable, just like working a 9 to 5. So that's another thing. People don't know what they want to do. When people say just start a business or go to school, a lot of people don't know what they want to do. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't know what business they want to start, and they don't know what they want to major in college. So again, that's a whole nother problem. That's a whole nother can of worms, because let's say my kid, he don't know what he want to do. He's just confused. It might not be anything he's even interested in. I know how that sounds, but that happens too. So what now? Like, what now? Does anyone have an answer for that? And it's not that the kid's lazy. It's just that he don't know. He's lost. He's confused. So that's what I mean by asking too much. Okay, I put this kid into this predicament. I brought him here, right? I put him into this predicament. Now they're struggling. They're lost. They're confused. Parents are asking too much from their children by bringing them here, because they don't know how that child's life is going to turn out. But yeah, children's mental health is on the decline, and yeah, for adults, it's getting hard too. Adults' mental health is on a decline as well. So who's to say that if I have a child, they won't become that way? So all of this is placed on that child, that person. And if they don't want to comply, then life just get harder for them. Okay, if they don't want to go to school and do that schoolwork, what happens? They flunk, they get held back. If they don't want to work that 9 to 5, let's say they got an apartment or they got a mortgage payment, what happens? They're going to be out on the street if they don't want to comply. So we're forcing them into this. If we were natalists, we're not natalists, but if we're forcing them into this predicament, and we're setting them up where they have to comply. They have to do it. Okay, unless they have some other way to generate income, they have to get out there and do that 9 to 5. All right, they have to do that schoolwork, or else there's going to be some sort of repercussion. Not very pleasant one either. So that's what I mean. Again, I'm going to keep repeating myself. That's what I mean when I say it's too much to ask. Entirely too much. Okay, I see if this society was not the way it is today, okay, where everything's about money and the way they treat you when you lack money. But unfortunately, we don't live in a society like that. Now, for those of you that been following me for a while, you know how I used to speak about the church kids. Okay, these kids I used to go to church with, they live below the poverty line, and they could only get a meal by attending school. So they wait for school to open up on Monday. That's how they could eat, by going to school. God forbid it was hurricane season, okay? This is Florida. When we have hurricanes, they shut down the schools. Those kids wouldn't eat, all right? So again, asking way too much from children. These parents knew they couldn't feed themselves, but yet still, they're going to bring children into that predicament. Making those children have to starve and tolerate that is just asking too much. And it's the parents' fault. They could have mitigated that, but no, they chose to bring those children and put them in the same predicament they're in. So that's another example right there. Okay, these parents were asking too much. There's no other way to put it. And as a result, those children had to starve. They had to deal with it. They just had to suck it up. And this happens a lot, okay? I know I said this in previous videos, but you just don't hear about these things. It happens a lot. Now, as far as school, I understand that education is important to an extent, but let's be real. I'll venture to say anything past 5th grade, or let's just say 6th grade, anything past 6th grade is it really necessary? Like, let's be real. Okay, we learned how to do algebra equations and all this stuff. I have yet to apply it in the real world. All right, ever since I graduated, I have yet to apply anything that I learned about algebra, or I was in trig when I was in high school. I have yet to apply any of that. All the jobs I've had, whatever, I have yet to apply any of that knowledge. So pretty much the only time I was actively using that was in school. But as far as everything I learned from, let's say, kindergarten up to the 5th or 6th grade, just basic math, basic reading and writing. Yes, in day-to-day life, that's useful. But all this other stuff, is it really useful? No, it isn't. Okay, and again, they're using this as a way to indoctrinate you to be a sheep, okay? So I understand why they do it, but we know it's unnecessary. But once again, when we're in school doing all this stuff, what do they expect from us? All right, that's my question. What do they expect from us? They expect us to attend school. They expect us to make good grades, a passing grade anyway. But there was a lot of kids I was in school with. Well, not a lot, but let's just say a few. Okay, there were several kids I was in school with. They didn't graduate. Okay, and I'll keep it real with y'all. A lot of them just didn't care. All right, but some were genuinely trying and they just couldn't. They got held back. Okay, some were genuinely trying to pass and they just couldn't get it for whatever reason, and they got held back as a result. There were a few guys that dropped out and got their GED, and they went on to do just fine in life. And society wants to paint this picture that if you drop out of school and get your GED or whatever like that, then you're some big time failure and you're not going to make it. Well, that's not always the case. All right, that's not always the case. There's plenty of guys that dropped out, got their GED, and they're doing just fine. They can support themselves just fine. That's what I mean. Okay, so it's not always the end of the world if you drop out and just get a GED. Although they try to make it seem that way, that's not always the case. And another way I feel as though parents are asking too much, when their children are, I spoke about this too, all right? But when their children are struggling, they don't help out. I mean financially. They don't do nothing useful. They don't help out. So they're quick to bring a child here, but as soon as that child's struggling, you think they're going to help out? In most cases, no. Now, I'm not talking about every single parent, because believe it or not, there are some parents out there that will help their children out. But that's very few and far between. Okay, you line up 100 people, 90, I say 99 of them aren't going to help out their children. So it's very few that will actually do that. So again, I feel that's another way parents are asking too much by simply bringing their child into existence. Because when that child do get out, start working, and let's say they struggle, okay, they have a hard time, 9 times, almost 100% of the time, they're not going to help that child out. It's just what it is. They're not going to do it. Now, I could go on and on and on all day, but that would make a boring and unnecessarily long video. But again, that's another reason why I'm an anti-natalist, because I don't want my children to have to endure all of that. And I feel as though I'd be asking too much from them by bringing them here. I know how this world operates. I know how this society operates. And I feel as though I'm just asking far too much from them to bring them into this predicament. Okay? Too much. So, yeah, that's all I got to say on that. I've been wanting to speak on this for a while, but so here's the video. All right, but yeah, let me know what y'all think about it. So until next time, embrace your inner darkness. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.